Good morning. Hope you're having a great week. It is Monday, June 9th, 8:07 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, local time here in Stanfield, Oregon. I'm at a Pilot Flying J in Stanfield, Oregon, and we are just getting rolling. Do a little tug test. Always do a little tug test when I start. Now we're going to hope that my airline repair stays repaired. The thing I'm concerned about with it is stretching. It's a different type of airline. And I think it's long enough. But I am concerned about it. I don't really, if this was a less busy place, then I would do some testing.
Take the next left onto Holman Street.
I would, get at a 90-degree angle and see how stretched it is, but I don't really have anywhere to do that here. This place is really busy. There's people constantly flying through the parking lot. And getting in and out right here in this little spot is almost single lane. If you see somebody coming from the other direction, you need to stop and let them through, especially when the fuel island starts getting backed up. So what I plan on recording today is from... We're in a rare situation where I'm parked near the shipper, but not at the shipper or receiver. So we're going to be able to get footage from me leaving the truck stop all the way to the delivery. I'm about 50 miles away from the delivery. I cannot remember the name of the town. Kennewick or Kennesaw or Ken something. It's right next to Pasco. So I have two deliveries a couple miles apart. One of them's in Kennesaw or something like that, and the other one's in Pasco, Washington. And then I drive like 100 miles, 150 miles north to Wenatchee, Washington, and I have a delivery tomorrow there. So if you didn't watch the video yesterday of the repair, basically whenever I arrived here, I did my post trip and I heard this loud air noise, like air leaking. And I was like, man, somebody around me's got a bad air leak. That's what I was thinking whenever I was, getting out of the truck to do my inspection. And then I was like, that sounds like it's coming from my truck. And I tracked it down. It didn't take long because it was so loud. I was like, oh my goodness. My emergency airline on the trailer was bulging at the very end where it goes into the glad hand on the trailer. And it was leaking out of the connector. You could turn it and it would stop leaking, and turn it in another direction and it would leak really bad. So I ended up replacing the airline, and it's a different type of airline. It's a little coiled airline, whereas the airlines I have on there right now are really long, just straight lines. All right, we've only got a couple miles on I-80. We're on, or 84. We're on 84 westbound, and we're about to get on 82 westbound. And I always get confused about 84 and 82 because the numbering is weird with them. Usually, interstates are interstate numbers get higher as you get further north, and they get higher as you get further east. But for some reason, 84 is south of 82. It's a weird numbering that I don't understand. So we're on 84 now, and we're going to get on 82 in a minute. We got 7.5 miles according to Google. And this is the rest area, the Stanfield rest area that I was initially planning to stop at. I stop at these rest areas quite often. The east and westbound side of the Stanfield rest area. But I needed to get a shower. So stopped at the Pilot Flying J. I don't like to show up at shippers and receivers stinky. I'll go 2 or 3 days, 4 days without a shower, but I don't like showing up at shippers and receivers stinky. So I always try to get a shower before. I don't like to roll in there a couple days without a shower. But this is it. It seems like traffic is lighter during the daytime than the night. Have a lot of truck drivers switched to night driving? I've noticed truck stops. There's a lot of trucks at truck stops during the daytime. Whereas used to, truck stops are basically empty during the daytime. Now they're like half full during the day. Rest areas are half full. Like everything's half full during the day. And traffic seems worse at night than during the day. Could be my imagination. Could just be that I'm not familiar with traffic patterns in the areas I'm driving or something like that. So my appointment is at 10 a.m. It is 8:15 a.m. right now. So I'm probably going to roll up in there like an hour early for my appointment, which I'm always early for appointments. It is pretty standard for me to show up at least an hour early for a delivery unless I'm told otherwise. If I'm, told, or I read Google reviews and it says, they won't let you in, they won't let you check in more than 30 minutes early. Unless I see something like that, I typically show up an hour or more early. And if this appointment had been at like 8 a.m. whenever they open up, then I would have just gone straight there and I would have sat there overnight and waited for them to open up. But at 10 a.m., I don't want to, for all I know, they had another delivery before me and the place isn't really big enough for 2 trucks. So I don't want to cause a bunch of drama. You don't want to jeopardize the account. You don't want to tick off the customer. And a lot of times the driver never even hears about issues. The customer will complain to the agent, the broker. That's the reason when agents, brokers are telling us, be sure you do this, be sure you do that, be sure you don't do this, be sure you don't do that. It's probably because the customer has complained to them about it. But these air conditioning supply stores are usually pretty chill. This will be, I want to say, the third or maybe the fourth delivery that I've done for this agency, delivering these Rheem air conditioners. There's Rheem, and then there's another brand in here. I think it's Train. I can't remember. They have a consumer and a commercial brand. And Rheem, I'm pretty sure, is their consumer brand. And every place I've ever delivered air conditioners is really like chill, really cool, no issues. All right, I'm gonna have to turn my cruise off. This truck in front of me is going below 65. I've got an exit in 1 mile. I suspect that this person has the same exit as me, and they're slowing down prematurely for their exit. We're doing 55 miles an hour right now. Great, now we're going to slow down even more. Got a rock collar merging on.
In a quarter mile, take exit 179 for I-82 West toward Umatilla, Kennewick.
We're doing 45 miles an hour. Awesome.
Take exit 179. Continue for 34 miles.
For some reason, I remember this on-ramp being like at the bottom of a hill. Wonder what I'm getting it confused with. Oh, I think I know what I'm getting it confused with. I think I'm getting it confused with the 80-84 junction. You get onto Interstate 84, it's at the bottom of a hill. What the hell is going on with this guy? Why is he going so slow, and why is he brake checking me? All right, I'm just going to get around this person. I'm not going to deal with their drama. They can figure out how fast they want to go. They can sit back here and brake check somebody else. I'm doing 63 right now and flying by them. Oh, now they want to speed up. Now they sped up and they're right on my ass. A lot of these drivers, they're just like, they don't know what to do. When they're in front leading the pack, they don't know what to do. They don't know what speed they should be going. They don't know how sharp the turn is. They don't know how steep the grade is. So they get really uncomfortable But once they have somebody in front of them setting the pace, then their confidence goes up. So we've got, I don't know how many miles until we hit the state of Washington. Speed limit is 65 for trucks right now. In Oregon, truck speed limits are typically 65 if you're in the eastern half of the state. Once you get into the western half of the state, truck speed limit's 60. And if you get near a major city, then they drop the truck speed limit down to 55. The state of Washington is a 60 mile per hour truck speed limit, so we're going to be doing 65. Well, now we got construction at 55. Right lane closed ahead. I've got a four-wheeler flying up on me. Probably a local that knows we're going single lane. And they're trying to pass everybody before the single lane. Well, it's not happening, buddy. The lane's ending right here. You didn't make it. If you want to pass me, go for the right. Stuck behind this rock holler. If I didn't get stuck behind that slow truck back there, is this the end of it? It is. Then I wouldn't be behind this rock holler. All right, now the speed limit's back up to 65. Let's see how fast this rock holler is going. I'm doing 60 right now and going faster than the rock holler. 63. All right, we're going around the rock holler. It's amazing how people speed comes out of nowhere when you're passing them. Like they're able to go so much faster whenever you're in front of them or passing them than when you're behind them. Isn't that incredible? So the airline seems to be holding up well so far. Got 29 miles until my exit. Then we've got a little bit of city driving to do. I've looked over several different ways to get to this place. There's not really a good way. This is one of the reasons that I normally don't book these loads. I talked about this in a previous video. There's 3 reasons that I normally would not have booked this load. The reason I booked this load is because I'm desperate. There was hardly any loads being posted that were worth a damn. And this is a pretty good load. There's just things about it that I don't like. The pay on it was really good. So what are the 3 reasons? Number 1, the agency. I just don't like working with this agency. They do chargebacks like 2 months after you deliver the load. They'll reduce the fuel surcharge that they pay. They are the only agency I've ever done business with that does that. And I have talked with Landstar about it, and Landstar just shrugs their shoulders at me. That's what they do whenever you have issues with the agents. Reason number 2 is multi-stop. I don't like doing multi-stop deliveries because you don't get paid to do the extra stops. They have this mindset of paying you mileage, but you're having to spend extra days on the load on multi-stops, and they don't have a mindset of paying you for daily rates. So you end up spending, like, I try to make $1,000 a day gross to the truck. So if I have to spend an extra day on a load like I do on this load, I have to stay over an extra day to deliver tomorrow. The load should pay an extra $1,000, but it doesn't. And the third reason is because it's delivering out in the middle of nowhere. It's delivering to Wenatchee, Washington, which is out in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to have a big deadhead for my next load, most likely. And it is just constant construction. We just got out of single lane, then we get into single lane, another single lane, and now we're rolling into another construction. Going single lane again. I guess this is better than what they do in a lot of areas where they'll just make it single lane for 10, 15 miles. Instead of doing that, they're doing short single lanes. Is this the bridge? No, I don't think this is it. This might be it. No. There's a, if I remember correctly, there's a pretty big bridge that you go across traveling from Oregon to Washington, going over the border. Yeah, there it is. It is a big bridge. Just a second here. We got some people merged on in front of me going really slow. So we just dropped down from 55 to 40. Now we're getting back up to speed. And once we get to the other side of the bridge, it'll be a 60 mile per hour truck speed limit. I have a fear of heights. It is not easy for me to go over bridges like this. What I try to do is just focus on the road right in front of me. All right, we need to reset the cruise from 65 down to 60.
There are police reported ahead.
All right, way station told me my drive-wise said follow the road sign, so got to pull in if it's open. You got to thank all those people that came in and tanked Landstar's CSA score. I've talked about this several times. Whenever I first started with Landstar, when I went through orientation, the Ranger fleet was below satisfactory. All right, way station is closed. Looks like it's permanently closed. They have a sign like over it. Construction barrels all over the entrance. Yeah, it looks like they're redoing that way station. But whenever I went through orientation in like May of 2021, the Ranger fleet was just below satisfactory. I think satisfactory is 65%. It might be 60. I can't remember. But the Ranger fleet was a couple of percent below satisfactory, and the Enway fleet was a couple of percent above satisfactory. And the third fleet, the Express fleet, was like at 98 or 100%. They were almost perfect. But that's a really small fleet. I think that's Expedite. I think that's the Expedite fleet. I'm not sure what the Express fleet is. It's a tiny little fleet. Most Landstar are either in Ranger or Enway. I'm in Enway, so when I first started with Landstar, we were above the threshold, and Landstar does a 90-day follow-up orientation. By the time I went to my 90-day follow-up orientation, Enway had dropped below satisfactory. So almost the entire time I've been at Landstar, we've been below satisfactory. And I've been getting pulled into way stations if they're open. Almost every open way station I go over the scale. Even if I'm empty, they don't bypass me. "19 miles. It's Clearwater, and then Columbia, and then Dutchins are the roads I'm going to be on. But it's telling me it's the Badger Road exit. But if I remember correctly, it's Badger Road west, and if you go east, it's Clearwater something. So that's the correct exit. If you're using Google Maps like I do, like I thought about getting one of the trucker GPSs, but they are so bad. Like I remember the trucker GPS that my trainer used at USA Truck. He had one of the ones that you get at the truck stop, one of the popular ones, and it was so janky. It would tell us to take almost every exit we passed. It would have us, it would try to tell us to do all kinds of weird stuff. And the routing on it was so bad. I paid for the OmniTrax device that I have has an optional feature of GPS routing, a navigation feature. I tried using that on this thing, and it is just worthless. First of all, this OmniTrax device is just so cheap. It is so incredibly slow. It takes forever to switch screens and stuff like that. It takes forever for it to do anything. It's just such a slow computer. So trying to use it as navigation is just, it doesn't work. I paid the $6 a month extra for the navigation for the entire time I've been at Landstar up until like last month. I finally got around to canceling it, and I've never used it. I tried using it one time, and and it was just so janky. I was like, yeah, I'm not messing with this crap. So I just use regular Google GPS. And if you're using something like that doesn't know you're a truck and it's not trying to keep you out of truck prohibited areas, then you need to do a bit of route planning, and you need to know your route. You need to know like what's going on. That way if Google tries to route you through somebody's backyard to save a couple of seconds, you know that this is not right. You're not supposed to be turning here. Because I've had Google do that to me. But with how bad the trucker GPSs are, you basically need to do the same with them. You need to do your own trip planning to know if the trucker GPS is sending you off in the wrong direction, because those things are probably more janky than Google GPS. Google GPS is at least accurate on the roads and stuff. So if you know what route you're taking, if you put in a whole bunch of plot points so that Google won't reroute you all the time, then Google GPS, in my opinion, is far superior to any of the trucking GPSs. I was just sitting here thinking about the seal on this trailer. The Ream warehouse where you pick this thing up, they like are so anal about the seals and everything. And I'm like, why do you guys care so much about the seal on the trailer? The seal doesn't matter at all. None of these air conditioning supply store places care about the seal, because these are multi-stop deliveries and they have no idea whether or not they're the first, second, third, 10th stop on the delivery. So as soon as I break the seal on the first stop, it's not going to be sealed for any other stop. And the first stop doesn't know if they're the ones that I broke the seal on. So I don't know. It's just some shippers and receivers have a lot of unnecessary process and procedure. $14 more miles until the exit. And then we get to do some city driving. I hate city driving. I hate getting off the interstate because city streets are not designed for these trucks. So I'm guessing that I'm going to be at the truck stop in Wenatchee by probably about 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. And then I'll camp out overnight and do the delivery. The truck stop, I think, is like 20 miles away from the delivery location. So tomorrow morning I'll drive that 20 miles, make that delivery. And then I've got, I think, like an 80-mile drive to a Pilot Flying J off of I-90. And that's where I plan on camping out until I find a load. Kennewick. It's Kennewick. That's what it is. 14 miles to Kennewick, 17 miles to Pasco. So my first delivery is in Kennewick, and my second delivery is in Pasco. So I've gotten hardly any load alerts. I think I've only gotten 2 load alerts, or maybe 3, and they were all those cabinet loads, those like 35, 37 stop cabinet loads out of, I can't remember, Stanton, Oregon or something like that. It's a long ways away. Other than that, I had an agent text me this morning wanting to know if I want to take a load from Seattle to LA. No, it was Seattle to Phoenix, Arizona for $2,500. So that's probably about 1,200 miles, somewhere in that ballpark. So that's like, I don't know, $2.30 a mile or something like that. It's around $2 a mile on the full rate. And I only get about 70% of that. So it's just like an incredibly cheap load. I have never been contacted by an agent on a good load. Agents don't do cold call sales on good loads. If they put a good load on the board, it disappears within a couple of minutes. I got 10 miles and I'm catching up with a couple of construction vehicles. We're going up a fairly steep grade right now. It's not real steep. Maybe like a 1 or a 2% grade. I'm doing 59 miles an hour. I have the cruise set at 60. All right, there's not another vehicle behind me for about a mile. I'm going to go ahead and go for the pass. Still no vehicle behind me for almost about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile. All right, I'm going to speed up to a little bit above 60 just to clear around this person, free up this left lane. We're going 65 right now. We're speeding. Now we're going downhill. All right. Now we're rolling. The construction vehicle is about a 1/4 mile behind me. .8 miles until my exit. So at some point, there's going to be a city pop out of nowhere. We're out in the middle of nowhere right now. I'm a little concerned about finding my next load given how few load alerts I've gotten. And I haven't gotten any load alerts on that Anna Cortez load. What I'm thinking about doing is putting up a new load alert just for the Anacortes area, like a 50-mile radius around Anacortes, Washington, and have it unrestricted on trailer type. I think maybe they either lost that contract or they're only moving it on flatbeds now. But I bet that they would let me pick up a load with a dry van, even if they have it listed as flatbed only. I asked the customer, I made a joke with the customer whenever I picked it up because we had a lot of issues with getting the weight right on the trailer. On a flatbed, they can just put it in the center of the trailer. But on a dry van, it's not easy to put something just in the center of the trailer. So we figured out a way to make it happen, but I joked around with him. I was like, you're probably not going to want to deal with any more vans after this. It's probably going to be flatbed only going forward. And he was like, no, now that we know how to do it, it's going to be fine. But something has changed with that load. They either, it could just simply be that they don't always have those loads. Maybe they only have them for like 1 week a month. But I do think I'm going to set up a load alert over there for flatbed loads. I'm not looking forward to the drive over there to pick it up. I don't feel like driving through Seattle. It'd be nice to get a load out of central Washington, Wenatchee, or come back over here to Kennewick, Pasco. I think I've only ever picked up one load out of Pasco. It was a load for the Department of Energy. Picked it up at the airport. There was, and I made a video on this, and it's an agency that is on my blacklist. So even if that load is here in Pasco, I won't haul it again. It's the CIF agency, and I think her name is Kelly Rogers. I will not do business with that agency while she's there. And she's been with that agency for like 20 years. So I don't think she's going anywhere anytime soon, but she is batshit crazy. I will not work with her ever again. But the Department of Energy load was, there's a group of people with the Department of Energy that take what used to be like a Reaper drone with the military that has had a lot of the military stuff removed from it. And it has a whole bunch of sensor equipment on it. And these guys go fly it around at airports around the country, gathering sensor data. Particulates in the air and stuff like that. It has tons of sensors on it. And they just go, I think they have a rotation of airports that they go to. Just constantly gathering sensor data around the country. And the guy that flies the thing, I thought that you would have to be like a pilot. I thought you'd have to have like a pilot's license to fly. Because this is, those Reaper drones, those are big. Like, they're small planes. I thought that you would have to have a pilot's license. I thought that they would want somebody that was like ex-military flying one of those things. But the guy that flies it told me that he got the job to fly it. He was already working for the Department of Energy, and he got the job to fly that thing because he had on his profile that one of his hobbies was flying drones. So they asked him if he was interested in flying this Reaper drone. It's not really a drone. Like, there's a huge difference between like a consumer grade drone and a Reaper, like military drone. That's a plane. That's not a drone. But he's the one that flies it around. But I took it to some tiny airport in northern Oklahoma, Blackwell, Oklahoma, or something like that, off I-35 in northern Oklahoma. All right, so it looks like my exit is down at the bottom of this hill. We're going down it's not a real steep grade, but it's decent. So we'll get the engine brakes going and get Clearwater Avenue. This is it. We got Clearwater, then Columbia, and then Dutchess or something like that. But Google is saying that this is Badger Road exit. I think it's Badger Road if you go left, Clearwater if you go right.
Take exit 109.
All right, we're at 52 miles an hour, and we're going to go ahead and slow down some more because I have no idea. All right, looks like
Turn right onto East Badger Road.
looks like we have a stop sign at the end of the exit, and this is all downhill. I'm really light. If I were heavy, I would slow down a lot more than this. But I'm almost empty. We're down to 30 miles an hour. I've got impatient four-wheelers riding my butt.
Turn right onto East Badger Road.
All right. Oh, my goodness. We were clear to go, and then this four-wheeler popped out of nowhere. Oh, that four-wheeler turned.
Traffic circle. Take the second exit onto West Clearwater Avenue.
Don't try to go around me. These four-wheelers are trying to go around me. I need both lanes for a traffic circle. I'm trying to block these four-wheelers. They're trying to...
Exit the traffic circle onto West Clearwater Avenue.
They're trying to go around me.
West Clearwater Avenue for 2 miles.
So, all right. I was successfully able to block the four-wheelers from getting in the other lane alongside me. But yeah, I can't go through a traffic circle with traffic in the other lane with me. I need both lanes to do a tight turn like that. All right, we've got 2 miles on this road until we turn onto Columbia. We're doing 40, speed limit's 45, and I'm going to hang out in the left lane because when I'm driving on city streets like this, I don't trust the trees. Normally, I would not be in the left lane 2 miles before a left turn on city streets because it takes forever to go 2 miles on city streets. But on city streets I'm not familiar with, I really don't want to be over in that right lane because of trees and curbs and All kinds of good reasons. Looks like the truck in front of me has the exact same opinion. They're in the left lane as well. Now the drama with unloading this thing is figuring out like how much of it they need to unload. Usually on multi-stop loads, the shippers will put something, some kind of marker, a strap or something, to segment the load. So once you get past like the first 3 air conditioners, then there'll be a strap or something across to let you know that that's the end of this person's delivery. And then the other problem I'm going to run into is I didn't get any copies. And all these places want copies of the bill of lading. They think that is theirs. It's not. But these air conditioning places usually have copy machines. So every time I've delivered to them, they've made a copy for themselves. But I've never delivered to these particular ones. This is a nice brand new road. Half a mile. It might be this light up here. And I see a truck
In a quarter mile, turn left onto North
coming from the direction that I'm going. So this might be a popular little industrial park that I'm turning into. No, that person's not at the intersection. They're camped out at that Mexican restaurant's parking lot.
At the light, turn left onto North Columbia Center Boulevard.
All right, we got Columbia, and we're only on Columbia for like 1 light or so. And then we're making a right onto Dutchins or something like that. Great. We get the turn if you get lucky. We did not get the green arrow. And traffic is really thick, so we're going to have to wait for a green arrow. Or maybe not. I can't make that. Oh, wow. There, now we got a green arrow.
In 1,000 feet, turn right after Pizza Hut.
There's a second here. Yeah, this road right here at this light, we're turning right. And I can't tell how tight it is. Oh my goodness.
Turn right onto West Deschutes Avenue.
That is not made for trucks. This is ridiculous. I'm gonna have to go over a damn curb. All right, we're going really slow. Yeah, this is the reason. Like, we are way up on the sidewalk right now. I'm almost touching the curb of the sidewalk. This is the reason I don't like doing deliveries to small and medium businesses, is that a lot of them are in places that are basically like residentials. All right, now we've got a half a mile until we get to the business. They are off of this road. We're going really slow because this road is obviously not designed for trucks. All right, the road turns to the right up there, and it's in that turn is where the business is at. I see dock doors all up and down through here. Where is the entry point for trucks? Are all trucks? There's no way all trucks are going through that turn that I just went through. There's some other route trucks are using to get into this area. There's a UPS warehouse. They're probably coming in from the other side that I'm going to exit on. All right, this is a really tight turn.
Your destination is on the right.
Oh my goodness. That is really bumpy. And we're here. Please report to office for customer service employees only. All right. So now I get to go check in with them. So I'm going to pause this while I go check in, then I'll come back and tell you what's going on. All right, so I'm trying to back into the spot right now. Sorry I didn't start the recording sooner. He didn't know about the appointment. He's ticked off. He said he's going to go chew out the person that made the appointment because they were supposed to tell him about it. And he basically wanted me to park in the most difficult spot that he has. And this is really tight. I have almost no room in front to maneuver. So, and he even told me whenever he told me which dock to back into, he said, you're probably going to have to like jockey it over a couple of times. But he said if you line up on that line is true. And we're on that line right now. All right. And we are backed into the dock, and this place is so ridiculously tight that when I pull out, I'm gonna have to pull out to the left and do a U-turn. So we're backed in. Now I get to go back there, and he's grabbed some pallets to put these things on because he asked me if they were on pallets, and they're not. So he went out there and grabbed some pallets. This is him that's about to drive by on the forklift. So I've got to go back there and watch what he pulls off to make sure he gets the right stuff off. So I'm going to pause the video while I go do that, while we go unload this. Be right back. All right, we finished that delivery. Now we get to try and get out of here. There's some vehicles that showed up that are going to make this a little bit harder than it should have been. That box truck over there and a pickup. But if I need to, instead of doing a U-turn, I could back into this area behind me. But it looks like I'm going to be able to make a U-turn. I still need to close my doors. All right, so I'm going to pause this while I go close my doors. All right, now I get to drive 6 miles to my next delivery. They had a total of 16 items. They're all over there on the right. They set them right there next to the dock. They palletized everything. All right, I'm going to swing way out here. Options, options, options. I always want to take as much room as I can, even if I don't think I need it.
Turn right onto North Kellogg Street.
I don't want to take out their curb, so yeah, we're using all the room here. I can't believe that there's a UPS facility back in here. With how tight all these roads are.
Quarter mile. Turn right onto North Kellogg Street.
There's a four-wheeler behind me that's mad. I'm holding them up. We're doing 20 miles an hour. Ooh, let's turn the air conditioner up. It's like 90 degrees outside. All right, we're going to make a right turn here, go down about a quarter mile, make a left turn, and then take that for about half a mile and make another left turn, and then take that for a mile or so.
Take the next right onto North Kellogg Street.
All right, we're going to swing out here and use all of the room that we got. All right, looks like it's going to take us a minute to get this right turn. Just a second here. We got a couple more vehicles and then we can go. Maybe. Oh, we have. Please don't anyone make a left turn. Oh my goodness, like 1 inch away from the curb. Did not go over the curb. I have gone over 2 curbs so far in this area. One was at the little roundabout. One of the roundabouts I made it through without a curb. The second one, I went over the curb, but I think it was designed that way. And then that right turn that I had to make, I went way up onto the sidewalk. I came within a couple inches of the embankment on the edge of the sidewalk. That's how far up onto the sidewalk I was.
At the light, turn left onto West Clearwater Avenue.
So I'm going to probably be really quiet while I'm driving through these residentials, because there's a lot going on and this is really tight. Please stay green. Yay! Oh, you son of a... We're going anyway.
Quarter mile. Turn left onto North Edison Street.
That was a really fast light. It went from green to yellow to red in about like 2 or 3 seconds. Definitely not designed for trucks to be driving through the intersection. All right, I should have turned over into the left lane because I need to make a left turn, and now these four-wheelers won't let me over. This is like one of the frustrating things about driving in residential areas is the four-wheelers just really hate you being there, and they don't want to be stuck behind you. And they will block you. All right, now we're making a left onto Edison here. And Edison should take us all the way to the highway.
At the light, turn left onto North Edison Street. Then your destination will be on the right.
And hopefully we get a green this time. Every light, every left turn light that we've hit so far has like given us a flashing yellow instead of a green. We got a green this time. All right, a lot of trees. We're going to grab the left lane.
Continue on North Edison Street for 1 mile.
After these trees right here, I'm going to grab the right lane because I need a right turn in about half a mile. And the rest of the trees are pretty far back. Half a mile until our turn. This is one of the reasons that I don't like doing deliveries to small and medium businesses. You end up doing a lot of city driving. Whereas most of the loads I normally haul, I'm delivering to warehouses. It's just right off the interstate, pull into the warehouse, do the delivery. I'm not having to drive across town. I'm not having to drive into residential areas. Oh, damn, these trees. I didn't hit them. Good.
Quarter mile, turn right onto the Washington 240 East ramp to Pasco.
All right, I need to watch that light because I can't stop on the railroad tracks. All right, we're good.
Turn right onto the Washington 240 East ramp.
All right, here we're getting onto the 240 East ramp right here. So now we're getting onto the highway.
For 3 miles.
Yay, we made it through the residentials. Now we're getting onto roads designed for trucks. Alrighty, I got an opening. Nobody moved over for me. If I don't move over for these four-wheelers, they cuss at me, they give me the finger, they honk at me, they flash their lights at me. But do they move over for me? Yeah, most of the time. Not all the time. These people didn't. So we're going to be going over that bridge that you can maybe see off in the distance to the left. It's a pretty big bridge. That's a huge, it's a very wide river or a lake. I don't know what that is.
In 2 miles, use the left lane to take the Lewis Street exit.
All right, we want to go on 395 north. Google didn't say anything about getting onto 395 north. Google isn't telling me to do anything through this section of road. So if you're one of those people that relies on the GPS, you would be confused right here as to what to do. All right, 35 mile per hour turn. We're doing 55, so let's slow down. All right, we're going to stay in the left lane because Lewis Street, a quarter of a mile, is our exit. And it's a left lane exit.
In a quarter mile, use the left lane to take the Lewis Street exit.
"14 feet 1 inch on the exit.
Use the left lane to take the Lewis Street exit.
We're doing 40. It's a 45 exit.
Road 28, North 28th Avenue.
All right, looks like the first light, we're going to make a left. 14.1 and we're 13.6. So we should be good.
At the light, turn left onto Road 28, North 28th Avenue, then turn right onto West Irving Street.
All right, this is our road right here. And I can see the place that I'm delivering. All right, here we go. Green light. You almost can't see the light because of the power lines running right across in front of it.
Turn right onto West Irving Street, then you will arrive at your destination.
All right, we're turning right here. And it does not look like I'm going to be able to pull in where I wanted to pull in. Sorry, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a car coming the other direction. I wanted to pull in right here, but with that car there, I don't think I can do it. I'm just going to have to go straight to the dock. I could pull over here on the right, throw on my four ways and park, but they don't have anybody in the dock, so I'm just going to pull into the dock. All right, turn my four ways on, roll my window down, and I might be able to straight back this thing. No, I'm not going to try to straight back it. We're going to, once I get into the spot, I might try to straight back it. This is a really tight, narrow street here. This looks easier than it is. That's the reason I wanted to come in. If I would have been able to pull in that other way, it would have been a lot easier. I can't do this with these cars here. I'm going to have to use that parking lot across the street. Yeah, we're going to have to do this a different way. This is a lot tighter than it should have been. All right. Let's see if we can't do this. I'm going to have to get a lot more angle on it. All right, we're going up over the curb. I'm just trying to get it in the general vicinity, and then I can straight back it. This is a pain in the ass. And I think this outside dock is the one they want me in, but I'm just going to get out of everybody's way. No, they're going to want me on the inside dock. I'm just going to back up far enough to get out of everybody's way. There we go. All right, I'm out of the street. So now I'm going to go check in with them and verify which dock they want me in. I think they're going to want me in the left side dock, but I'm going to go check in with them, and I'll be back. All right, sorry I'm not recording all of this. I'm kind of trying to be in a hurry so I'm not blocking the road. Yeah, I had to shift over into the other dock that they have ramps in. Oh man, I can see their ramps. I need to get over to, I'm a little bit too far left. Need to go over to my right a little bit. All right, let me go back there and take a look at their ramps, see if I'm lined up for them. Huh? You need me to keep an eye for you? Oh, sure. I was checking to see if I'm lined up for them. Do I need to go over to the right a little bit? I can always jump down here slightly, stay closer. That's good where I'm at. All right, we're backed in. He was back there guiding me, and he moved the ramps around. All right, we're all good. So I'm going to pause this while I go back there and talk with him. We figure out what's theirs. All right, I'm getting unloaded right now. So the first person I interacted with here was kind of rude, like really rude. But he apparently is just some lackey. Whenever the manager came over, he's super nice. Like, he's the one I've been interacting with ever since then, and he's the one unloading the trailer. But my first delivery was to a company called Keller, and then this delivery is to a company called Glacier, and my next delivery is to another company called Glacier. And this guy said that I could probably get unloaded today, and he said, give them a call, and they'll probably unload you today. And I just called my final delivery, and I told them I could be there somewhere in the ballpark of about 2:30 p.m. and they wanted to know how many pieces it was, and I told them, and they were like, "That's a lot." They said, "We better do it tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. during the normal appointment, because that's just a lot of stuff to do at the end of the day." So after I deliver this load, I'm going to head to the truck stop in Wenatchee, and I'll be there probably about 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m., and I'll hang out, and then I'll be there whenever they open up at 8 a.m. in the morning, make the delivery, and then I'll deadhead to the Pilot Flying J truck stop off I-90, which is quite a drive. And I have to figure out how in the hell am I going to get out of here. So from a normal person's perspective, this doesn't look like it's really tight, but this is a really narrow street. So what I'm going to have to do to pull out of here is I'm going to pull way over to the right into that Mexican restaurant parking lot. I am, like, if there were cars parked in that parking lot, I wouldn't be able to get in here. The only way I'd be able to get in here would be to blindside it. I wouldn't be able to do a side back in here. But to get out of here, I'm going to pull up into that Mexican restaurant parking lot and then back into here on the right side of this parking lot, and then make the left turn out of here. I can't make the left turn straight out of here. It's too tight. And I'm tempted to go over there to that Mexican restaurant and grab something to eat, but this guy told me it's only going to take 45 minutes to unload me. And he had my paperwork, my bill of lading, for 5 minutes, and he crinkled it up. It pisses me off when these shippers and receivers, like, I have a little, the little document holders that you see at mechanics where it's clear on one side so you can sit there and look at it with it being protected. That is what I use to keep the freight bills in. And it really ticks me off when somebody rolls up my freight bill or they crinkle it up and stick it in their pocket or something like that. And this guy, like, wadded the freight bill up. He actually has 2 freight bills, 2 different loads in here. And he is unloading this thing insanely fast. He's just slamming it out onto the concrete slab out here behind the truck. He's just like slamming it right out of here. And these things are not on pallets. They're not easy to get in and out with a forklift. And they're really fragile. They're really thin metal. These air conditioners are made out of really, really thin metal. So you touch them with the forks on a forklift and it's going to put a dent in them. So he's got to get everything unloaded, and then he has to go through the packing slip and verify everything and check for damage. This load has been pretty good. The other loads that I've done, this is the first one I've hauled out of Louisville, Texas. The other loads I've done for Ream were out of Fort Smith, Arkansas. And the people that were loading the trailers in Fort Smith, Arkansas were just destroying the air conditioners. Every delivery I had, the bill of lading was just full of remarks about damage on everything. Like there were forklift punctures in just about every air conditioner. It was messed up. And the people that they're selling these air conditioners to, they expect perfection. I mean, these things are expensive. You're talking like upwards of $15,000 for an air conditioner. And you don't want one showing up with dents in it. But so far, not a single damaged product on this load. Everything looked like it was loaded really well. I didn't bother putting straps back on the load whenever I drove it the 6 miles between these two places. But I am going to strap it up to go up to Wenatchee. I don't want to risk one of these air conditioners falling over. The it looked like it was good to go 6 miles. They have straps in between each section. That's how they like signal like this is your stuff. This is so each delivery has an orange strap in between it, and it's also a form of securement. So it wasn't completely unstrapped. It had that orange strap across it, holding it in place. But to do 150 miles, I'm going to put my straps in there as well. All right, looks like he's done unloading the stuff. Now he's going to do a piece count. So I'm going to go back there and put my straps on. I'm going to pause this. All right, we're all done. Now all I need to do is change my GPS spot. I did plug in the final destination place into my GPS, but I'm going to be stopping at a truck stop instead. So update the GPS. Let's get rid of Glacier Supply. So I'll deliver that first thing in the morning. All done here, no damage, no shortage. He thought that we had 35 items instead of 34, but he miscounted. He was going through there checking everything on the packing slip, and he couldn't figure out what the deal was. And then he and I counted them together, and there was actually 34 items. So let me see here. Just looking over my route. And to get out of here, I'm going to have to drive city streets for a couple miles because there's not an on-ramp. The off-ramp that I got off here on, there's no on-ramps to get back on. All right, so GPS looks good.
Toward North 27th Avenue.
So now I just need to pull out of here. I've already strapped the load. So I need to pull out of here, close the doors, and then figure out how to make this left turn. I'm going to have to do some wiggling around to get the truck way over to the right so that I can swing on this left turn. But I'm going to go ahead and end the video there. If I recorded all the way until I got to Wenatchee, then the video would just be too long. So have a good one. That's me doing my first 2 drops. Bye.